myself. Beyond the vanity, teach me to place no one above myself.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Big Bro Show. I am your host, Ty, joined here alongside my co-host, Justin. We got a couple special guests today, Adam and Bekah. Welcome in,
Hey.
guys.
Hi.
How's everybody's week?
Brutal as always.
Yeah. It's like, do you want me to lie or just be completely honest here? It was pretty shit week, to be completely honest, but we're good. It's okay. We made it.
Just gotta move through it, right?
Yeah.
That's a typical parenting answer. There's no sugarcoating here. We're all for it.
Yeah. My favorite is living the dream. Because you know exactly how bad it's going at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. You're going through it at that point. Yeah.
That's the typical Midwest answer right there. Living the dream. So we are going to do another parenting fail episode. We just released the first one this past Saturday, yesterday, and got a lot of good feedback, a lot of views on it. So obviously everybody enjoyed it, and it's definitely a little bit different than what we typically do. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm glad to have Justin on this time around. And without further ado, I'll get into my first story. So this one is off of my favorite subreddit, TIFU, Today I Fucked Up. The title of this story is Today I Fucked Up by telling my son there was a fictional being called the Pecker Snatcher who would steal his junk if he didn't put it away. So my 4-year-old son liked to dance around naked after baths and while changing him. As cute as he can be, it gets old after a while, and if you've ever had a boy, you know how they can become obsessed with their peckers. I told him one night that if he didn't put it away, the Pecker Snatcher would come and take it. He looked at me with some disbelief and said I was kidding him. I told him it was the truth, and that is what happened to his sister. His eyes got big and he put his pants on. Fast forward a couple days, and him and his sister have now elaborated on the story. And the Pecker Snatcher is now a man who has a basket full of peckers that he carries with him, and other elaborations on the story. All was good and well until he explained the entire mythology they created to their grandparents and teachers. Now I'm the weirdo, and parenting is fucking dumb.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Justin, I know you got boys. Adam and Bekah, I don't know if you do.
Yep.
I do. Yeah.
How old are they?
I have a 12 and a 9-year-old. So
okay, so you have already gone through it.
I fully remember we're barely at like underwear now. Like if I can get them to run on underwear, then I feel like that's a success, to be honest.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And I totally know where they're coming from on that. It's not a bad idea. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I got a 15-year-old son, almost 16, so now it's a different problem with his pecker that I got to worry about.
My 12-year-old, like, he didn't used to want to shower at all, and every once in a while he'll just be in there for a little longer, and he'll come out. My husband and I kind of look at each other, and we're like, what's happened? He was like, oh, I don't know. I just was like, I had like music going or something. Like, okay, cool. Sounds like a fun shower, I guess. I don't know. I don't even want to know really, but we just kind of like look at each other like, it's a longer one. Okay.
I remember those days.
That story on Reddit reminded me, I can't remember what show or movie it came from. Oh, yeah, but there was something where the girl thought she had like a pussy troll.
Was it a scary
and it was
movie?
called
Like
Lister
Scary
Fiend. Does
Movie?
anybody remember this? I can't remember what it's from.
Yeah.
No.
It might have been one of those spoof movies. But yeah, that's exactly what my mind jumped to when I had heard that when you were reading it.
I'm trying to remember what we had. We did have something, and for the life of me, I can't remember what we called it. But when they were little, it was the same situation. They would not put clothes on. And so I don't remember what we called it, but there was something that we'd be like, oh, he's out the window. You got to like put your clothes on because he's looking in the window for you, which is just so creepy. And I do regret that. But I'm like, someone's always watching through the window. You gotta hide everything. So I can see where they're coming from, but they never took it that far. But I see it.
That was just your neighborhood harbor.
Probably. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those days. My son was maybe 2 or 3, and he wanted to keep going outside, but it was about to rain. And we lived in Florida for a while, so there was that afternoon thunderstorm that came through every day at like 4 o'clock. He wanted to keep going outside. I said, no, man, we got to stay inside. And there was a guy outside doing landscaping. And I told him, I said, hey, you see that guy over there? And I shouldn't have done this, but it was like the only thing I could think of at the time. I was like 20 years old. And I was like, that guy, he runs over kids with his lawnmower. And for years, anybody doing landscaping, he was iffy around, he had believed it. And it's crazy. I'm sure we all have that story where we told our kids something just to get out of a situation or whatnot that kind of sticks with them, and then you go, maybe shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. They're just traumatized their entire childhood.
Like, why don't you want to hire a landscaper for our yard? We need to keep it clean. It's like, look, I just have a thing about landscapers. Okay, I don't want to talk about it.
Yep. The irony now, he's 15, going to be 16 in July. Now he mows the lawn. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's come full.
Yeah. Yep.
Adam, you became a parent pretty early, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just over 19 years old when my first was born. Like I said, he's almost 16. He'll be 16 in July. My daughter's 12. So I got a high school and a middle schooler right now. And let me tell you, the daughter, the boy's easy. I know what they go through, but the daughter, yeah, it's a little rougher for sure.
Well, since we're talking about daughters around that age, I'm going to jump into this next one here. That you'll like this one. So this one is titled, Today I Fucked Up by Letting My Son Take My Wife's Menstrual Cup for Show and Tell. My wife is working out of town for a couple weeks. Sometime over the weekend, I noticed my son playing with this little silicone cup that kind of looked like a tulip. I asked him what it went to and what it did, and he proceeded to show me its versatility. Over the next few days, it helped the Paw Patrol save the town. It was a treasure chest holding tiny pebbles guarded by pirates, a force field protecting a spaceship, and it came with us to the park, grocery shopping, and even out to dinner one night. I loved that it had its own little satchel and assumed it just went to a playset. Fast forward to this morning, and as we're getting ready for school, Alexa reminds me that it's show and tell today at school. So my son grabs his little silicone cup, and off to school he goes. I pick him up after school, and his teacher asks to speak with me. My son looks happy, so I figure he's not in trouble, or if he is in trouble, he did something cheeky that he's proud of. Here's our conversation. The teacher says, Ben's show and tell was, interesting. Yeah, it's cool, right? We've been playing with that thing for a few days. Mr. Scott, do you know what that is? I start to panic. Oh, shit. It's not a toy. That is a menstrual cup. I get confused. The teacher notes my confusion. It's used to collect menstrual blood. I'm still confused. The teacher says it goes inside and collects blood. So I say it just stays in there. She nods. Are you sure? I don't think that would fit too comfortably there. The teacher says, oh, it folds in half and springs open inside. We're both clearly uncomfortable. I say, all right then, so where do I get a replacement? Because my wife will probably not be too pleased when she returns home and will not want to continue using this one. My wife laughed hysterically when we told her. My son is none the wiser and is currently having a tea party with the cup right now.
Really? You didn't? Okay. Oh.
I have never heard of this thing until I read
Yes,
this
same
story.
boat.
Yeah, I have never heard of it.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow. That's funny.
I had to look it up after I read this story initially,
Yeah.
and I'm a little traumatized.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna
think
I
lie.
mean, I've walked this earth for
popular the
35
past
years and I've
couple
been married.
years or so,
I've
'cause
never
it's
heard of
like
this
a more
thing,
natural, healthy
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's reusable, less on the
It's like
environment, I
easier.
guess.
It's easier. Costs a lot less.
Wait, is it really
Yeah.
reusable?
Yeah. It can
Yeah.
last like a year. So you
What?
don't have it's a lot
No
less
way.
Yeah, I
expensive
assume you
as
just
well.
wash it,
Me and
right?
this kid
And
were
just,
playing with that.
yeah.
It's a
Mhm.
cup. Yeah.
Yeah. I would be so, oh my God. I love that guy
Oh,
also got like a whole lesson as well as having to do with
seriously.
this. He's like, eyes are open and everything. Oh my God.
Well, now I know. There's a couple pretty funny comments on this one. Somebody said, it reminded me of a boy in my son's first grade class. The little entrepreneur was selling telescopes for a nickel each and sold out.
Okay.
Sadly, they were his mother's
I
used
mean-
tampon applicators.
Oh God.
Yikes.
Wow.
Man.
Oh,
That's good.
God. This thing had me rolling. So the next one I got here, I actually put a little poll out on Reddit to try and find out the most embarrassing thing your child has done in public. Fortunately, I didn't get too many answers, but I got one pretty good one. So this person says, my kid was about 2, and we went to a local mall so she could burn off energy in their play area. Right next to the play area was an ice cream shop. One of the workers there was a woman with a larger body type. Kid points to her and starts shouting, "She's fat, she's fat, she's fat." I immediately pulled her out of the play area and we start hightailing back to the entrance. All the while, she
Yeah.
continues chanting her rating of the
Yeah.
poor woman she'd noticed.
That's
That is
rough.
fucking terrible.
That's
Awful.
rough. Man.
I actually had one that just happened on Friday. We were out for a fish fry, and my son, who just turned 3 last month, is learning what this is. So this is totally my fault too. So he's sitting there looking around at people. He sees people walking by and he starts going like this and trying to get to his one finger, and then he gets it and goes like this to the person. I'm sitting there fucking laughing like a dumbass, which obviously encourages him on even more because then he thinks it's funny and I can't control my laughter because I'm fucking immature. So needless to say, my wife was very embarrassed. Grandma was yelling at him, and
Yeah.
not
Right.
too good. Not too good.
Man.
I hope it doesn't continue.
Start them young, right?
Gotta start him young. Get him ready for the driving age. Use that symbol a lot.
Well, it is one of the hardest things that no one warns you about is when
Yeah.
your kids say or like they cuss or something and having to like not just lose it. When the first time I think my oldest son, he was like 3, I think, and we were at a restaurant and his younger brother was 1, and I don't know what his youngest brother was doing something silly. And so this little 3-year-old sits there in the booth and loudly just looks at us and goes, "What the hell is Jack doing?" And we were like, just stopped and we were just like trying to look at each other and we were like, "Oh my God, what?" And everyone's like looking over in the booth. I'm like, well, I don't even know where you heard that and how you know to use it. And it was just the funniest. And we just lost it. And then
That's
obviously,
what gets me is
yeah,
they
he's
like
like, "Oh, I
they
made
use
them
it in the
laugh.
right
They love it."
context.
And they
You know
just
what I
keep
mean?
doing
Like
it.
they don't only know the word,
Like,
they
"Oh,
know
there you
when
go."
exactly to use it, which is like,
I know.
how do you know that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on the outside, you're supposed to be, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're supposed to kind of be panicked.
Yeah.
Inside, though, when they use it in the right context and they use it tastefully,
Yeah.
like if something happens
Right,
and they don't
right.
like it
Well
and they
done.
go, this is
Touche.
bullshit. Little part of you goes, man, at least they're using it right, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And there's no warning when it comes. About 2-3 weeks ago, I was at the gas station. I just picked my daughter up from school, after school practice or something. And I said, "Yeah, go get some snacks, get what you want." I was like, I need to go back, and I had to go back into like the beer section, and I grab a pack of Trulies. And now, mind you, I'm with a 12-year-old girl, which is my daughter. We go up to the line to check out. I go to put it on the counter, and she goes, "Oh, I want to try Trulies so bad, but you won't let me." And I'm going, "Oh my gosh. Why would you even say that right now? Like, of course you can't try the damn Trulies," because she sees commercials and it's fruity and fruit punch and the wild berry, all that kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, man, I just had to change the subject. Like, oh, do I need to pick you up from school again tomorrow? Whatever. Yeah, just to make sure people knew that I was her dad and not like some creeper.
Yeah.
yeah. The world we live in today, right? Yeah.
Right.
Chris Hansen comes out from
Yeah.
the refrigerator
Yep.
section. Hi, I'm
Yep.
Chris Hansen. Why don't you have a seat?
Oh God.
What about you guys? What's your most embarrassing kid story out in public?
Oh gosh. Recently, that's the one that's got to do it for me. Like the kids hit a certain age where they stop doing embarrassing shit, once they get past a certain age. And then when they get older, it's just a whole new, all new follies of stuff that they
I think my kids
fuck
are
up with.
awkward.
So,
My youngest is very
yeah.
blunt,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
very, very blunt. And it'll be, I guess we live in an area where there's not a lot of people who have the same as me. So every time we're in a parking lot, he's like, "Hey, he's dark like you, Dad." And it's out loud. I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like, "Do you know him? Is that your brother?" I'm like, nah, man, I don't even know that dude. What's up, bro? And we just keep walking. I'm like, we're not all related, kid. Like, sorry, man. Right.
So you already got to teach your kids stereotypes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That reminds me when I was a kid, my mom was telling me this story. So we used to live in Milwaukee, which is a pretty decently sized African American demographic, right? So my mom said that we had gone to this movie theater, and I was probably maybe 2 or 3 at the time. So I didn't know about, the differences in skin color, all that stuff. And she said that we were at the front of the movie theater. I don't remember what movie it was, but she said just about before the intros began, I stood up in my seat and I looked behind me. I was looking around, looking around. I say to my mom, I was like, "Mom, who are all these brown people?"
Ooh.
And my mom fucking lost it, dude. Oh my God. She pulled me down so quick and she's like, "Shut the fuck up. You're gonna get us killed."
Wow.
Oh God. So cringy. So
So
cringy.
that would be her answer for the.
Yeah.
She'll probably never forget that one.
No, she still reminds me of it to this
Oh
day.
my God.
Wow.
I can't think of one in particular, but when my youngest was about 2, he became a runner, and he would just be completely standing still and then just taking off so fast. And I just remember so many times me just sprinting through like stores, just screaming for him to stop, and everyone's just like, God. So he did get a leash. So he was on a leash for a good 8 months because I'm just bolting through like IKEA and like park fairs, everything. Just that kid. Yeah, it was awful.
Shit, I remember when.
So
Well,
now
I don't
feel
really
bad
remember,
when I see them running.
but when I was a child, I had to be on a leash because walking, I would lean my head forward and just kind of over. So they had to put me on a leash to correct that. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
God.
Yep.
But I'm just picturing it.
Just
like,
no sense of
Hey, hold up.
self-preservation. Just forward. Nice.
Yep.
Uh,
Like walking an aggressive dog that's
Like a
tugging.
puppet.
Nope. Come here. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. That was me.
So speaking of running, I had a situation today. I was playing with my son, and I had his little container of animal crackers right here on my desk. And every time he would try and come get an animal cracker, I would tease him and I would like tickle him, right? So he made a game out of it. And he started to make me chase him. And this we probably played for a good half hour, and dude, I don't know what the hell I did, but as soon as I hit the age of 30, I swear to God, my body is fucking falling apart.
Oh.
I did something to my lower back that dude, it fucking hurts right now.
Oh,
And it's just from
I can
chasing my
relate.
kid around the house. I'm like, come on. Seriously? I fucking hate being in my 30s. This
Yeah.
sucks.
Mm-hmm.
The dumbest things. I'm trying to get up out of my chair so quick, like back in the old days when I, had the speed and all that stuff, and
Welcome.
fucking did
Welcome
something to
it.
my lower back, and now here we are,
Sneeze wrong,
walking
and you'll
around
get
like an
back
old
in.
man. Fuck's sakes. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Seriously. I had a time where I
True.
sneezed like 3 times in a row and threw out my back. I was like, what the fuck is going on
Heartburn,
with me?
yep.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
Aches,
I feel
pains, heartburn. Oh yeah, everything.
that.
Yep. Yep. Just think when we were little, or not even little, but as a high schooler, we're like, man, I can't wait to be an adult.
Yeah.
This fucking sucks. I hate
Mhm.
being an adult. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I got a couple more here. So this one says, what's the most fucked up story you have of your family? Mine is when my brothers and sisters duct taped my little brother to a pole in our basement and left him there for hours. And we would periodically walk down to feed him dry Lucky Charms and water. What the...
Do we need to report this? That kind of sounds like child
That
endangerment.
sounds a little... Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Next
hey,
is
at
the
least they were
crunchy
getting
ones.
some Lucky Charms. I mean, at least they gave them
That's
a good
torture.
Yeah, but they didn't give him the marshmallows, just the crunchy ones.
Right. Yeah.
The parents weren't wondering where this one. The parents like, oh, I'm sure they're fine. They just keep
Yeah.
sneaking down to the basement occasionally. I'm sure it's okay.
When I was a kid, I lived with my grandparents, and I had a few of my cousins that were over for like a week or whatever. And I remember we were playing down in the basement, and the basement in my grandparents' house, like when you had the lights off, was super creepy. And we were playing this game where we would hide under the blanket, and then we would count to 10 and go find everybody, right? Like a hide and seek, basically. Which was all fun and games until my cousins, who were a few years older than me, ran up the stairs as I was under the blanket and locked the door, which locks from the outside. Dude, I fucking freaked out. Oh my God. I still have like memories of that basement with the lights off. It like totally traumatized
Something
me.
moving. Yeah.
Oh, I bet you're scanning the room and you're just waiting to see the
Right?
Darth Maul looking thing up in the corner, and guess what? He's got the high ground. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, this next one is this one I'm just waiting for with my kids. So this lady says, I work at a daycare with preschoolers, ages 3.5 to 5. And this morning, a kid sweetly complimented me on my shirt, and then a bunch of kids wanted to compliment me as well. Then it got weird when, as they ran out of things to compliment me on, they went to complimenting my body parts, saying things like, I like your eyeballs. Yeah, I like your skin. I like your blood. And one kid literally said, I like your flesh. I
Right?
fucking work with future serial killers.
Well, you know which ones to look out for.
God. Yeah.
Seriously. The imaginations on kids when they're young is
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah. They can be terrifying. Just the shit they make up. Oh my God.
Where was that
My
other one?
youngest one told me, let's see, he was like 3, I think, and he started telling me about this like imaginary friend he had. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Yeah, imaginary friend. He was like, yeah, this like older woman. She has like really long, dark, like black hair. And she's always trying to get me to come to her house. Like, but I don't really want to. And we just talked. I'm like, where the fuck? I'm quite sure we're haunted. Like, I remember I was like texting my husband at work. I was like, dude, we're fucking haunted. We need to get out of here. And he's like, no, she's okay. I just don't want to go back to her house. I was like, don't go to her house. Don't, whatever you do, stay here. Don't talk to her. And I was like, this is awful. It's terrifying. I don't know. I guess imagination, or we don't live there anymore. So, which is, I don't know. I don't know what was
Right?
going on there.
Right.
Awful.
Imaginary friends are all fun and games till they start getting a little too specific on detail. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Not fun.
You always wonder what kids when they're little are actually seeing. If they're like sensitive to all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, they just don't realize it.
Probably. So
I've
fresh.
heard a lot of creepy
from
stories.
somewhere else. Yeah. So freshly here.
Yeah, for sure. This is more of the kid fucking up for the parents. So this one's titled, Today I Fucked Up by Buying Everyone an Ancestry DNA Kit and Ruining Christmas.
No.
Earlier this year, Ancestry DNA had a sale on their kit. I thought it would be a great gift idea, so I bought 6 of them for Christmas presents. Today, my family got together to exchange presents for our Christmas Eve tradition, and I gave my mom, dad, brother, and 2 sisters each a kit. As soon as everyone opened their gift at the same time, my mom started freaking out. She told us how she didn't want us taking them because they had unsafe chemicals. We explained to her how there were actually no chemicals, but we could tell she was still flustered. Later, she started trying to convince us that only one of us kids need to take it since we will all have the same results and to resell extra kits to save money. Fast forward, our parents have been fighting upstairs for the past hour, and we are downstairs trying to figure out who has a different dad.
Oh my God.
So they had an update to this story, and it says, Christmas isn't ruined. My fuck up actually turned into a Christmas miracle. Turns out my sister's father passed away shortly after she was born. A good friend of my mom's was able to help her through the darkest time in her life, and they went on to fall in love and create the rest of our family. They never told us because of how hard it was for my mom. Last night, she was strong enough to share stories and photos with us for the first time, and it truly brought us even closer together as a family. That turned out kind of sweet,
Wow.
actually. The top comment on this, though, is Felice, not your dad.
But I mean, what are they gaining? What are they
Fair.
gaining about not telling them the truth? Like, this guy isn't your real dad, I mean, once you get to a certain age, I think kids are going to eventually ask questions or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Unless you're hiding something, if it's something sneaky, but if it's something that happened organically and tragically like that, I don't know why they would go through the trouble.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah, it seems like it was more just traumatizing to the mom, but which I get, whatever. You guys ever taken one of those before?
No.
Any of the Ancestry or 23andMe or anything like that?
Have you?
No.
I've been curious. No, I haven't. I've been curious to try it just to find out how much of a mutt I am. One of these comments on here says, I had the opposite thing happen. I did 23andMe and found out that my first cousins, who I'm not close with, also had done 23andMe because it matched us as first cousins. I told my dad this, and he was like, wait, it said that Karen is your first cousin? And I was like, yeah. And he asked to see it, and then he said, I have to call my brother. Turned out that my uncle has been convinced for decades that his ex-wife had an affair and his youngest daughter, Karen, wasn't really his.
Yeah.
Turns out she has been this whole time.
So many like wholesome endings to these that I never was
Yeah.
expecting.
Well, maybe not so much for that guy because
Well.
it sounds like he didn't want her to be his kid.
Right.
Maybe not.
Well, I know what I'm getting some of my friends for
Um,
Christmas that have some rocky
Yeah.
family stuff going on.
Yeah. See what's really happening.
And you guys got any other stories you can think of, whether it's your childhood or any fuck ups you've had as a
Yeah.
parent so far?
Oh gosh. They all just kind of blend together.
I don't know. I feel like parenting is like a daily struggle, and you're just trying to get it right. You know.
I-
Some, no, some shit's funny, but
Yeah, there's really no handbook to
Yeah.
it, is there?
Some days you just want to control alt delete and forget everything that happened and just start fresh the next day. Yeah.
Agreed.
I was trying to think of one, and one of the ones I could think of recently. My son's got started watching that Full House remake they did, that Fuller House.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's not good, but they somehow ended up loving it, and we were like, well, you need to see like the real deal here, you need to start watching Full House. So we started watching Full House with them, and somehow they actually liked it, which is surprising because obviously kids don't tend to like that. So they loved it. They're like super invested in all the characters. They love it. And we're watching an episode like right before bed with them. Like we're all cuddled up, whatever. Everything's great watching Full House. My dumb ass goes real loud, how did they handle his death on the Fuller House show? And my kids go, who's dead? Who's dead? And I was like, fuck. No, nobody? You're like not invested in this new show. And they were like, wait, what do you mean? Like the dads? And then my husband, thank God, jumps in, goes, no, she's talking about like the dad's dad. You remember them? They're like, no. And he's like, no, really, like Danny the dad. And he makes up this whole character that does not exist in the show. And it's like, no, remember he was on for like an episode or two, but he died, and she was wondering if and they're like, somehow they're like, oh yeah, I remember that character on those shows. Not on there. And they were like, oh, okay. So I guess so he's the one that died. And I was like, yeah. No one else died recently. You can keep liking this show. And I think it was like, I don't know, like a couple months later during the day, I was like, by the way, he did die. I need y'all to know this because I messed up. But it was like bedtime, and I was like, no, we can't. That was the worst thing. I don't even know why I said that. It was awful. Probably shouldn't bring up that a beloved character has passed before bedtime.
Yeah, that's bound to give some nightmares.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Today I fucked up by misunderstanding a text from my wife, thinking my kid had thrown up and missing out on sex. So this wasn't today. It was actually Sunday. The other night, my wife and I were getting ready for bed and being kind of flirty. I had to use the restroom, so I stayed downstairs while she went up to bed. While I was sitting on the toilet, I got a text, bring a bucket and a mop. Crap, one of my kids must have thrown up. I finished my toilet biz and went down to the basement to check the cleaning supplies. I found a bucket, but I couldn't find a mop. I found one of those squeezy sponge things, but the sponge was missing. Figuring the vomit was probably congealing at this point, I just grabbed the bucket and a bunch of paper towels and ran upstairs. I got to the upstairs bathroom and found no mess. I carried the cleaning supplies down to my kids' rooms, but found no vomit. I went to our bedroom and found my wife lying on the bed. She asked what had taken me so long, and I said I couldn't find a mop, and where was the mess? She started rolling around on the bed laughing. Suddenly, I realized bring a bucket and a mop was a line from the WAP song. My wife had been in the mood, and I had spent 15 minutes looking for a mop in the basement like a dumb shit. She was laughing so much that the mood was basically dead. And one of the comments says, now I'm wondering what you would have done if she texted, there's some whores in this house instead.
Right.
Man, he had one shot and he blew it.
Oh, that's so sad.
Man.
I know.
Yep.
So close.
Been there, done that.
Oh, God. That's awesome.
I know. I'm thinking back now when my daughter was real young. She was still crib age, and one day I'm off at work. I put her down for a nap. Go out in the living room. Everything's good. I throw on. I just got the Dark Knight trilogy on Blu-ray, so I threw on one of those movies and made the mistake of falling asleep. And I fell asleep on the couch. You know, you come to a little while later, go check on her in the room. She's standing in her crib, and you know when you open the door and they're doing something wrong, they get that shocked, deer in the headlight look. She had reached into her diaper and was throwing her shit around the room.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I might have only been out for maybe an hour and a half. So I don't know how long she was up, but she's in the crib. She was fine. But yeah, she had done that. She had smeared it all over the crib, like top of it, and she was covered in it. And then, of course, when you walk in and you start kind of freak out, first thing she does, she plops straight down and then starts coming out the back of the diaper. And it was terrible. And I was always weary to take naps after that until they were a lot older because the cleanup was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
You filed an insurance claim after your house mysteriously was on fire.
Right.
Yeah, I should have, right?
Just reset the whole thing.
Make sure
at
it's
that
total
point.
loss.
It is gone.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yep.
All right. Anybody got any other stories? I see we hit about 40 minutes here. Anything else you can think of that I can throw in or no?
Yeah. I mean, I remember like potty training.
Y'all got
potty
little
training
ones,
with
like,
boys is a pain in
y'all
the
must
ass.
have something,
I did
you know.
the Cheerios in the toilet thing, and we did the walking around without the diaper. My oldest, when he was potty training, we did the walk around without the diaper. I remember the first time he was like, fascinated with his thing, but he was also scared of it. Like he hadn't seen pee come out of it before. So like when he peed, he looked down and he saw that there was pee coming from it, and he booked it like he was running from his pee like around the room. And we were like, what the hell? Yeah, it's just everywhere. And he just couldn't stop it. And
So he was like
away from
renegade
it.
fire
It was
hose, just
fucking hilarious.
peeing everywhere. Oh,
Oh, my God.
And he used to do this thing where he put like a baseball. I used to let him wear my baseball caps, and he would put it down on his head to where
Yeah,
he
they
couldn't
did.
see, and run fucking 100 miles an hour at a wall, like just like full tilt, just sending it, boom, and then like laugh and then just keep going. I mean, he's a smart kid.
Straight
I
in.
mean, I don't think it messed him up.
I wish platforms such as TikTok and Snapchat were around when my kids were small, because there was plenty of times these kids would run around the house, and at one of the places we lived, the kitchen was it was tight quarters, right?
Boom.
And they'd go running through there. And one time he catches the cat or the counter corner right in the thing, falls backwards. Luckily, he didn't get split open. I don't know how he didn't get split open, but he had a little bump there for a while. But I'm thinking, man, I see these TikToks all the times of kids running around the house and then boom, right into a wall. And I'm thinking, man, we could have been TikTok famous or something if we would have had that platform, 15, 20 years ago. It's a shame.
Going back to your
Yeah, for
potty
him,
training
yeah.
story, Justin.
Yeah.
How did the
It was like
no
phases.
diaper work? Did it actually end up working out pretty good? Or did you? Okay. So I'm going through that right now with, I'm going through that right now with my kid, and he has no interest in
Have you done
learning
the
how to potty
Cheerios
train
in
right
the
now.
toilet?
I don't know what the hell else to
Making it
do.
like a game.
I haven't tried that
Yeah.
yet, like removing his diaper,
Makes
but
it
I'm
fun
kind of
for him.
scared to
Gives him
do so.
something to shoot at.
Mm-mm. No.
Yep.
Okay. So you've tried like sit him down, and if you go, you'll get we'll show him some toys, something like that, something where he can obtain obtain a prize or a gift, make it like a game basically. And he says, nah, I just want the toy. Fuck this, I don't want to do anything for it.
Classic Gen Z.
Yeah.
Just give me the trophy. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't remember. I feel like I just kind of blocked out potty training. I don't remember now. I feel like mine just wanted to copy either their dad or their older brother so much that they would just kind of follow them around. So they just like copied. I don't know. They're very copycat. I know one though. I don't remember which one it was. But they were learning how to like hold the toilet seat up when they were going, but they were so short and little so they would just like rest it on the seat and then hold it up and pee, and they dropped the lid and just right on top, and I was like, oh my god, that poor baby's never, like, he's done, it's gone, like, what did I do? I broke his little like, I just felt so bad, and it just slammed on top, and it
wasn't one of those
purple and bruised.
soft shut.
No, it was
Oh,
not.
fuck.
And it was like purple and bruised for like a week, and I was like, oh my god, I like broke my little boy.
Was
So
that a
bad
trip
for
to
him.
the
He
pediatrician
was
though?
okay though. He was okay. Like he could still pee, and like it was okay. And I was like, all right, well, it still seems functional. And he like got over it after like I don't know, like 30 minutes, kind of iced it, and he was fine. So I think I was gonna take him in, but he actually ended up being fine. It was just kind of like a bruise, but I felt so bad. I was like, all right, maybe I don't know if we need to like move back to the little baby potty or what we need to do, but yeah. And he never did it again though. Like he's very good about keeping, because he was like holding it, and I was like, yeah. He's like, nope, put it all the way up, dude.
Yeah.
Like no holding.
They like send chills down my spine. You explaining
Like
that.
PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband wanted to like, he was like throwing up. He was like, I can't. I was like, I felt so bad.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Do you have both of your kids are boys?
Yes.
Okay.
12 and 9. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It's
Does it
wild raising,
do.
not knowing like what to expect from some of them.
Does everybody have multiple children?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have two myself. So I know the first one, like I mentioned to you, Becca, was that a trip to the pediatrician the first time around?
Yeah.
Everything was, oh my gosh. Second kid, fuck him. Like, let him eat it off the ground. Let him do this. Let him do that.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think it actually was my second. So that's probably why that I didn't worry about it.
Yep.
I was like, he's probably fine. Yeah, I know.
My girl is so much tougher than my son too, and she's the second born. So it's like nothing phases her. Like she'll get smacked in the face by something or run into something. She's like, yeah, I'm good. No worries. Yeah. Meanwhile, my son cries about just about everything.
They just go full tilt. You don't care.
I've heard the second ones are
a force to be
feral,
reckoned with.
like wild little animals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
They're just trying to keep up with their older sibling. That's all it is.
Yes. Trying to outdo them. Trying to outshow them.
Yep.
Probably.
All right. So that wraps up today's episode of Parenting Fails and Today I Fucked Ups. If you guys enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe. And as always, please share it with your friends and leave a comment below if you got one of these crazy ass stories as well. And Adam and Bekah, thank you guys again for joining us today. Feel free to let our subscribers know how to reach your guys' podcasts.
Ladies first.
Sure. So my podcast is called The Human Podcast. We'll be launching our first episode actually on May 1st. So you can find me on most of the social medias at thehumanpodcast.com. Sorry, my dog is ready to go. She's done.
Yeah, and I also co-host the Mac Knows Worst podcast. We're about halfway through our first season right now. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon, anywhere else podcasts are distributed. We're just now getting into YouTube, so if you meander on over, go ahead and give us a like and a follow. Leave some comments. Yeah, all the socials are at the Mac Knows Worst podcast.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks.
Thanks.